His Gareth Bale style top knot slash man bun will not be to everyone's taste, but I wouldn't hold that against him. So
So the man insulted my hair. Now I have to respond. Hey dudes, dudettes, and everybody in between, welcome to my channels. It has been a while since I have posted anything, but today we have a very special feature because FelixFallax actually did a video on me, and I thought I'd respond to some of it. First of all, thanks Felix for doing this. I really appreciate it, man. It's rare that we get such detailed feedback from someone, and it's room for us to improve. So that's great, man. Thanks for doing this. I will buy you a drink. I'm planning on visiting UK at some point once COVID kind of subsides a little bit. So once that happens, I'll visit UK and I'm gonna buy you a drink. Okay, so without further ado, let's go.
point here, he says a person with 10,000 in capital at risk, serious about their money long term, but someone with 500 is only interested in 100% returns this month. I see where he's coming from there, that he's thinking if he sets the suggested copy amount at 1,000, then that's going to attract serious investors, not going to be moon boys who are trying to triple their capital. However, having said that, in some countries around the world, especially in various parts of Asia, although not necessarily Singapore, but in some countries around the world, $200 or $500 would actually be a lot of money. Whereas, and even in the UK where I live, a lot of families are in poverty, and some people probably can't afford to fund their eToro account with over 500, let alone have all of that in one person. So I would say that it's all relative, and 500 for some people is a lot of money. And also, I would say that yeah, it's good to just be flexible and give people the option. For example, my gold standard portfolio, I've got Campervan's 500 copy. It doesn't mean I'm not serious about it. So I would, all things being equal, I would rather someone was copyable for the smallest amount of 200. I understand it isn't possible, but between cyclic.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to change that. And he's 100% right. I mean, back then when I wrote this, it was way back when everybody was investing in cryptos, right? So what happened was that I put that there because I didn't want someone to invest with me thinking I'm gonna put 100% into XRP or whatever it is, and it goes double, triple, and we make that money. That's not my investing style. Plainly because I have too much invested for me to try that. I mean, if you have, again, if this is just kind of just trial, I lose $1,000, it's fine, then it's fine. But back then, that wasn't the case. People investing with you were tiny, tiny amounts. So now it's more serious, and eToro has established itself like hugely. So um, I'm gonna change that. As long as you're serious about your investments with me, I'm gonna change that. You can invest any amount. I'll put it as 200. I mean, that's fine actually. So yeah, thanks Felix. I'm gonna change that.
Cyclical traders.
And just to debunk the myth, not everybody in Singapore is like crazy rich Asians, guys. That's like Hollywood, right? Most of us stay in like government housing, and we're.
What I liked about his um, interview with Elliot Gotkeen is Zek said that he's not too proud to really read other people's ideas and take the best ones for himself. Rather than him coming up with these ideas, he's very much led by the analysis of other people, but taking that on and making his own mind. And a lot of people would think that's a bad thing, that he's not necessarily got the ability to do these fundamental analysis or whatever all on his own. And I'm sure he has got skills in that area. But what he said on his interview with Elliot Gotkeen is he very much looks at other people's opinions and chooses the best one and aggregates what weighting he believes. And that's very much what academics do, is they look at other people's arguments and they decide on their thesis based on that. So I like that. So you can see.
Okay, so this is actually part of the strategy. The reason why I think it will perform well over the next 20 years. It's very specific. I will get into it another time. I don't think now's the right time, or it's too long as well. But he's absolutely right. I try not to come up with my own ideas. I specialize in crypto because it's my full-time job. But at the same time, if you ask me anything about electric cars, I may not know as much as someone who works in the electric car industry, obviously. And things like battery and supply chains, there's a lot of it that goes into a single stock, a lot of analysis that goes into it. Hearing the best people talk about it, and if they have like really solid analysis, I would just copy their ideas. So I'll get into the strategy at a later time, not this video.
See his biggest position there is a China Petroleum and Chemical Corporation, which you wouldn't see in many people's portfolios. He's also got this Russian ETF, which is an interesting one.
Yeah,
He
I'm
makes the
really
point
proud
that
of
the
those two.
Russian
I think no
stock
one
market's
has
got much
those.
lower P to E ratio than pretty much anyone in the world. Couple of currency pairs there, which he's got sell positions on, although sometimes these ones, depending on various things, the fees are not always as high as you would expect, or at times you can even get a refund, I believe. So
Yeah, so actually that's a really good catch. That's part of the trade actually. Though I'm really long Mexico, I'm also not so optimistic about Europe, so short Euro, because of the fiscal discipline. But if you look at the portfolio itself and you go into, let's let it load, the trades themselves, Euro US dollar is up by $348, but at the same time it does have a fee. So you can see here it's like $34 thereabouts. Um, so altogether making about $310. You go to my dollar Mexico trade, which is down $273, but at the same time you're getting a refund of $333. So you're more than making up for the losses here. So the net position is really positive, and the longer I continue to hold this, the better, because the refunds on the dollar Mexico are insane. And this is part of the trade as well. Not only am I optimistic about the fundamentals, I can actually position in a way such that you get refunds as well. So this is a bonkers trade, and I love it. It doesn't mean it'll definitely play out the way we hope it'll play out, but I'm still confident of it.
certainly can on commodities. So selling does not always mean higher fees. He's also got Alibaba in there, an ETF there, and the crypto as you would expect. But he seems to have pruned down crypto significantly from what I presume he had over the last 2 years. One position that did catch my eye, and this is what you've got to watch for, is desynchronization. Like Ethereum, he's put in 1.25% and it's sitting at 4.42%. So there's a bit of a difference there. If it was to double and he didn't sell, he would be making 4.5%, and we would only be making 1.25%. And this position particularly is slightly problematic because he's got 0.1%, and sorry, we would get 0.1%, and he has got 25 times that amount, so he's got 2.5%. So there's a real desync there, and the other thing it means is this is why it costs 1,000 to copy him, because otherwise that wouldn't match that position because it's so small. So that one there is a bit of a pest. And if I was speculating on why PIs leave these open, first of all, it's because crypto's got fees. So
Okay, so I've got to plead like I didn't know this, and you have to forgive me because I'm still learning at the same time. I didn't know that this desync would be a problem. I've been closing my opens and my later open positions in that manner, mainly because of ego. So a lot of people they say, oh, I knew Bitcoin was gonna go to like whatever $200,000 in 10 years or whatever, and I bought it at 1,000. Most of the time they are sprouting some kind of crap. So I keep this in my portfolio to remind myself I did get in early. And again, it's just for ego purposes and so that people can verify it's there. If I close a position now in 1 year's time, if someone goes in there, it's not there anymore. So that's the reason why I have it there. But yeah, if I knew this was be a problem, I would structure my cells a different way, and I will in future. So thanks, Felix. I'm gonna pick that up as well.
so taking profits and reopening it can actually cost money unless you put in an order just slightly lower than where you closed it. There's another consequence is it would actually raise its risk score, and that's why I think his risk score is so low, because the risk score is based on how much crypto you originally invested. So when we look at this risk score of 3, that's based on him having 1% of Ethereum rather than 4%, and same for the other cryptos. So it's possible throughout the last few months that he actually had.
Okay, again, I didn't know this, so that's on me. But even if I adjust it, I do see my trades as not correlated, so I don't think that will affect it too much once we get that fixed. But the most I see us going up to is a 5 at max. I mean, we're at 3, sometimes a 4, and maybe we'll go up to a 5 if once the synchronization is better. But I don't see it going much higher, mainly because all the assets I trade, they tend to not be correlated. So yeah, it's a good point, but we'll fix it.
20 or impact on results. So anyway, I've droned on about that. So let's try and figure out how did he gain these results? What did he make his money on? And the annoying thing about this is it doesn't show you how many percent you actually put in any of these things. So, for instance, there he's got a 19% profit on a currency trade, and he's got a 32% profit on Chainlink, but the currency actually might have been more money than Chainlink. That might have been 6% of his bankroll, and Chainlink might have been 0.5%. We don't know.
Yeah, so this is the part, eToro just also wants to respect how much popular investors have in their portfolio, so they don't reveal that information. But because I'm me, I don't really give a crap, so let me show it to you. This is what it looks like. Portfolio, let's go to history, and we see 1 year ago. Okay, so yeah, my link made about $150, and my dollar cat made 457. So yeah, I did make more on currency trades. But again, there's no way he would have known this. It's part of the system that they've developed, and it works fine. So, just for information.
No. However, when you scroll down, what you do see is you've got over 1,000% Ethereum, over 2,000% Ethereum, 2,700, 2,000. So it's pretty clear that a significant amount of his profit has come from Ethereum. How much is impossible to say. Maybe he'll swing by the comment section and say that. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing is for you to decide. The good thing would be it shows that he's really identified Ethereum and got in there early, very early, and made a huge profit and let it run. So that's to be commended. On the downside, you could say that is he capable of making these big profits on anything other than Ethereum?
Okay, yeah, I should probably cover that. So again, because I don't give a crap, I'm going to show you my portfolio. So if you look at the most recent trades that I made, this is China Petroleum. It's 469%. If you go into it, there's actually even more there because they just did the dividend thing. So now you have refunds of 337. So total on this trade, you're making about $800 thereabouts on this trade. If you go to this, the RSX, $1,000 up, Chemical is 732, and Alibaba 600, 700 thereabouts. And this, of course, I'm really proud of this as well. Okay, so if we go down to Ethereum, I'm making 2008. This is also including the really large position that I kept, this super small one from way back then. So this is making about 2,000. So if you think about it, most of my profits in my portfolio at the moment come from, well, most of it comes from crypto, but a lot of it is also stocks as well. So I'm not a one trick pony. Hopefully you can see that, but hopefully that works.
Or is that one thing I did find interesting? You can see he's made tons of profit there. You look there and you see that in March last year he had a huge dip. In fact, relating up to that. Whereas if you look at his stats, you'll see there was no dip in March. So that really does show you the difference between the bar chart and the line chart, and that's because this tracks you a 10,000 trade, 10,000 copy with no additional deposits, whereas he presumably has been making deposits since then because his line chart and bar chart differ quite significantly.
Yeah, so this is really hard to tell just based on the bar chart. In fact, I just want to pull it up today or something. So this is the statement that I have. So if you can see here, in January 2020 to October 2021, I actually only deposited $1,000, and that was the whole fiasco with the TransferWise and all that. So in last year and just last year, I actually made 0 deposits. So it doesn't quite reflect it. What I suspect happened is because the market fell really fast, and some of my portfolio got taken a hit, but I had a lot of cash. So what happened after that is I invested a lot of it, and the market took off after that. So I think I got lucky in the timing, and that's why it looks the way it does.
Which he made 3 months ago, where he's saying had to go quiet for a bit, realized flooding of information was distracting, and he's talking about trolls and how people were criticizing him when he was sold out in crypto, and some people were saying you didn't sell early enough, and other people were saying you sold too early. So I really get his point there. It is extremely frustrating when people try and question you and criticize you. But it's slightly worrying that he stepped out and stopped replying to messages for that period. So that's just something to highlight. But I guess the main thing would be, did it affect his performance? And it doesn't seem to have.
Okay, so I should clarify this part. Again, this is my full-time job as well. So I do advise clients on their portfolios, I mean, at that point of time, and of course going to the future. So what happened there is people were asking me for advice, what to do. And because I was receiving all this negativity and a lot of information from different people's opinions, I couldn't make a strategic sense of it. So in a hedge fund world, what you do have is you have a portfolio manager, you have risk managers, and you have someone called investor relations who deals with that. Of course, we don't have that on eToro. Everything has been replaced by technology, which is great. But it also puts all the burden of the soft skills on us. So that investor relation portion had to come from me. And at that point of time, I was like, can I make a logical, strategic decision now, or am I just emotional? And I felt at that time I was just emotional. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to stop looking at this for a while and go look at other stuff and make sure I make the right decisions. And that's really important for every investor.
He didn't go on tilt or anything and start doing silly things, but it's just worth noting that there. Another post I wanted to highlight, and this one's a bit of a three-ring circus. He was talking 2 months ago about depositing
I
some
know about
money.
this one.
So he
Okay.
mentioned putting 1,000 in, 1.5% of accounts. His account's roughly in the region of 65, 70 grand.
So
So he
80
said he
grand
was
right
going to
now.
do that, and there's obviously some people are in favour of that, some aren't. And then what happened was the deposit was declined. TransferWise doesn't accept eToro. Skrill, that failed as well. So it's a bit of a as I say, a bit of a farce or fiasco where he was intended to deposit money. People were all prepared for it. It didn't happen. And then what's happened, if you scroll through it a little while, he did deposit it after all. So it was like a yes, then it was a no, and then it was a yes again. Although, as admittedly, it's not that much, but I would be, let's just say some people don't mind adding a deposit and other people would have problems, such as my gold standard portfolio. He's right to say it's not that significant, but it's something that if he was doing that regularly, then that might cause problems for someone like me who's operating on a fixed bankroll. But for other people, it'd be no problem at all. He's not really made it clear exactly what his deposit strategy is, but it's just worth always noting before you copy a PI is to check out what their deposit strategy might be.
Okay, so I should probably clarify this part. So what happened was I did try and deposit it. Again, TransferWise was not working because they see it as crypto. So what I did is I used the TransferWise credit card and I charged it to my Skrill, and Skrill couldn't go back into eToro because it's seen as a credit card charge or something like that. So in Singapore, it's pretty strict. We do allow cryptos and stuff, but it is highly regulated. So a lot of things couldn't go through. So that's why that happened. So the next time I did it via Skrill is because I asked them to change my PI payments into Skrill instead of into my TransferWise, and that was easier to get across. So that's kind of what happened. Won't happen again. And he did mention deposit strategy. I've actually I have a problem with this because I do see a problem when your account is a certain amount and your PI payments are a certain amount. They should match, and ultimately you should feel pain when your crypto account goes down, and your objective should be to look after the portfolio instead of worrying about the PI payments. That again is my mission in all of eToro and what I'm trying to do in finance. So I'm trying to think about ways to fix that, and I think I've come up with a strategy, but I'll share that a bit later. So looking at this, I'm definitely going to address some of these. I think the steep price of entry is something we're going to change immediately. We're going to reduce that to $200 immediately. Deposit strategy, I'm coming up with it. I'll let you guys know shortly how I'm going to deal with that. Red squared poison. Okay, FelixFallax, I'm going to meet you in UK when I buy you a drink. I am going to tell you the benefits of blockchain and I am going to change your mind. So it's coming. High proportion of gains coming from Ether. Definitely that's happened. And again, if we see opportunities like that, maybe they come, maybe they don't. We don't know. Man bun's not going to change, man. I'm not going to cut my hair. But yeah, so thanks so much, FelixFallax, for doing this. I really appreciate it, man. If any more questions, just ask it in the comment section and let's go.